This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Phantom Boxing, a brand new boxing company starting in 2019. They sent us a great discount code for awesome subscribers. If you go to their website at phantomboxing.com and you want to try any of their 3 boxing gloves with a new one coming soon, as well as their Cobra Reflex bag, you can save up to 10% off any and all purchases if you enter the code CombatCorp10 in the discount bar at checkout. That's CombatCorp10 for 10% off any and all purchases. Thank you and enjoy the show. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al, the Postmaster Tomorrow, and today I have 4 different ways and methods on how to wrap your hands when it comes to any type of combat sport that involves punching, like boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, whatever it might be. I'm going to tell you the science behind wrapping your hands. I'm going to tell you where you can get hand wraps and what type of hand wraps you might want. And then, of course, I'm going to show you the 4 different methods. I'm also going to put timestamps below in case you want to skip to any of these methods. I have 4 totals, so there's a couple to choose from, and I hope that it helps you if you were ever lost. First off, I want to say wrapping your hands is probably the most important thing that you can do when getting into a combat sport. And the reason why, well, there's 2 reasons. Injury prevention and longevity. The reason why you want to have those 2 things in check is because if you don't get injured often, it means that you can go longer in the sport. And it doesn't mean you have to start, stop, and have injuries all the time, which can lead to things like surgeries, prolonged absences from stuff, and it's also going to just damage you for the long run because you're going to be 25 or 30 with arthritic problems. Now, I've been doing boxing for a long time, and I've been doing combat sports for a long time. I throw punches every single day to a harder surface, and I can tell you I've never had hand issues before. My hands are completely fine. I've never damaged them in any type of combat sports setting. It's because I wrap my hands, and obviously having good gloves will help too. But going into wrapping your hands, the science behind it is because you have a bunch of bones, veins, ligaments, arteries, blood vessels, and a bunch of other things in your hand that are very, very small, like to burst, pop, explode, break, and tear. And it's never fun for those to happen, okay? That, once again, might lead to surgeries. It's going to kill you down the line in your life. It's not going to be fun, okay? So we want to take care of it as much as we can so we can prevent those things. So what do? We keep those things in place. Our hands are not as strong as most people would think, no matter how big your hands are. Even Andre the Giant could have broke his hand if he punched something wrong. Bas Rutten broke his hand a couple years ago because he hit something without the glove or without wraps on, and he blamed it for that. So there's a reason why you wrap your hands, obviously, if you got someone like him saying that. So when you wrap your hands, you're compressing everything on the inside, because when you make contact, what's going to happen is impact's going to go down from your knuckles into your hand here, and when that happens, it's going to boop, break everything, because all the pressure is going to go down. Your hand can't take that pressure, and it's just going to burst. So you're going to see red spots all over the back of your hand, on the front of your hand. Your fingers are going to be crooked, your knuckles are going to be black and blue, and then your wrist is also going to break, because when you punch, the end of the impact goes to the top and the bottom of your wrist, sometimes even the upper part of your forearm. I've seen people snap the top part of their forearm before. It's not fun. So you want to wrap your hands to prevent that. You also want to wrap your hands because when it comes to like gloves, like I always use this analogy. Would you put your brand new Air Jordans on without socks on? No, you wouldn't. Why? Because your feet are going to smell, they're going to sweat, they're going to get your shoes ruined. Why would you ruin a brand new pair of Jordans? Same thing with boxing gloves. The sweat from your hands, instead of getting soaked by the hand wrap, is going to go into the padding, ruin the padding. Your gloves are going to bubble a lot faster, the foam's going to break apart, the lining's going to start to rip a lot easier, and your stuff is going to smell terrible. Now, another thing I want to cover too is some people say, I don't wrap my hands because my hands are going to become sledgehammers, they're going to become hard as a rock. That's going to happen no matter what. Okay, if you wrap your hands and have gloves on and you just punch stuff, it's going to take a long time. It takes months, years, decades, however long it might take. I can tell you right now, my hands, my knuckles are harder than most people because I've been doing this for a long time. It's just like when you meet Thai fighters. They kick bags, they kick pads, and they kick other things, but they still spar with these shin guards on, and they still spar with other things on, just because it doesn't mean it's never going to hurt again. Yes, their shins are hard, but it doesn't mean that they're not susceptible to break, and that's the same thing with your hands. So that bro science thing of I don't wrap my hands because they're going to become sledgehammers, it's not true. Just drink some milk after you punch something, or take a calcium pill, and it's going to happen a lot faster. That's all I would recommend that. Now, there's a bunch of different hand wraps that you can get, and a lot of people always ask, what length do I get? I recommend that people get 180-inch hand wraps, and it doesn't really matter what style. There's classic hand wraps, which means there's no stretch to them at all. There's Mexican hand wraps, which have a small elastic fiber on the inside of the cloth, so it stretches just a little bit. And then there's also elastic, which is kind of pointless in my opinion because it stretches too much and it's going to hurt your hand more than anything. And then of course there's actual like old school style wraps, which is basically pre-gauze. So you can use it daily, but you need to use a lot of it. It's kind of like an ace bandage, and in time you just can't keep washing an ace bandage over and over, whereas regular hand wraps you can put in the wash and fine. 180 inches is enough to cover your entire hand, enough to protect you, and that's one thing that you want to do a lot. Now some people might get 108-inch hand wraps, like children and women that have smaller hands, and then there's also 120-inch hand wraps that I know a lot of MMA guys use because sometimes 180 or 200-inch hand wraps just won't fit inside of an MMA glove. However, a lot of MMA gloves are starting to get a little bigger on the inside, so that's always good. So I still wrap my hands completely with 180-inch hand wraps. So you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods or Walmart and get a pair of 180-inch hand wraps. Everlast and Venom is in Walmart, and then of course at Dick's Sporting Goods there's Century as well. So there's a lot of really good alternatives, and there really isn't. I mean, yeah, there are hand wraps that are better than others, but obviously if you invest in stuff, the most you're ever going to spend on hand wraps is maybe $20 at most. But I know like the Mexican style hand wraps I'm going to be using today by Rival, these were $12. Right, 12 or 15 bucks, and they're my favorite hand wraps I've ever used. Not only because they're orange and that's my favorite color, but because they're just soft to my skin, and they're a wider type of hand wrap too. And they're Mexican style, so they stretch. So I'm going to show you 4 methods to wrapping your hands today. And I'm going to start out with the most basic one. I'm going to zoom in here, and we're going to go right into it, okay? Let me zoom in a little bit more. First off, I unravel it like this. Some people will have the thumb loop already out and the Velcro on the other side, but that's completely up to you. I'll show you what I'm talking about after. But when it comes down to wrapping your hands, you want to find, if some hand wraps will say this side down, but you want to find the V seam, right? The V seam, you see how that's a V right there going down? That's the part that's going to go down on your wrist. So the Velcro part, let me grab it here, will end up going downward and clip like that. But even if it doesn't, all you have to do is twist it over and it'll be fine. So I take this and I'm going to start on the big bone of my wrist here. I don't want to go under my wrist because it will become loose at the base. I want to go over, okay? What I want to do is ball my fist. Now it's tight to my wrist, okay? I go over once the big bone and I go over twice down about 1 inch. So I have a really good base here. So that's always really important. Notice how my hand is nice and wide as well. So I'm not going to crunch my hands together or anything, but I do ball my fists whenever I complete a circle. Reason why? When I punch stuff, my fist is closed. This is going to be nice and tight to my skin, okay? From the double wrist, I'm going to go down to my thumb and go over. Just like that, okay? So see how it's covering my thumb just like that? I go over my wrist twice. I start over once, twice around the wrist. Then I go around the thumb, just like that. Now what the thumb does is when I bring it back to my wrist, it's gonna guide my thumb into a natural punch position, okay? So it's in a perfect spot within the glove, and that's always good. So I went back around my wrist. Now from here, I'm gonna do what's called the X factor. I'm gonna go to my pinky, around the palm, then around the pointer finger, and come down like that, okay? So I'm gonna go to the pinky, right here. Let me unravel that. Pinky, palm, pointer, okay? X marks the spot, and that's how you can remember it. X marks the spot, just like that, okay? And then from there, I'm gonna go back around my wrist. I'm gonna make a half X around my pinky. This time, I'm gonna go under my palm, but I'm gonna go over my knuckles 4 times. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And that's the padding that I'm making for my knuckles, okay? The glove, for the most part, will do the most. Now, what most people will do is they'll go through their fingers. So they go back around the wrist, and then they go up and over, ball their fist like this to keep that padding that you just made in place. Make the L sign, bring it out the side like that. Don't go down, because in amateur competition, you cannot have any material or too much excess material in the palm. So you go out the side and back down to the wrist. Go through the pinky, ball the fist, L sign, boom, out. Pointer, middle finger, L sign, bang, boom. Perfect. Now I make another X, finish around my wrist. And that's the most standard wrap most people will do. What you want to do here is tuck this in so you have a good grip bar and tuck that under. But there's something you can do that's a variation of this wrap, and instead of going through all of the fingers, just go through the middle. And why would you do that? Because there's not really a whole lot of padding here. It's primarily on my palm, and my palm's already pretty soft and padded anyway. So what I want to do is when I go around my knuckles, I actually want to go around 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Okay, now I actually got some padding on my hand. What I'm going to do now is go back down, go through the middle instead, ball my fist, L, bang, right there. And now I do another X and finish off the wrap, okay? Perfect, just like that. And that's it. And there's a little bit more padding on my knuckle, not a whole lot, and there's still more on my palm. But still, you don't need to go through all the middle fingers, all the other fingers except for the middle, because this isn't coming out, right? You already got it locked in, and the X on top of that is keeping it in place. And it's plenty padded now. But let's go into the second method of wrapping our hands. Let's go into making a knuckle pad out of our own hand wraps that we have with us. Okay, so once again, keeping our hand fairly loose until we go over a base. We don't want our fingers to bunch together like this, keeping it nice and loose. What I'm going to do is pinch the thumb loop with my thumb and my pointer finger knuckle. I'm going to spread my hands wide and go around once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I'll even go around 5 times. Boom. All right, now people are saying, would you wrap your hands now? No. What I'm going to do is take this off, put the thumb loop on the inside here, and pinch it together. Now I actually got a big pad. See that? Now that's actually going to add something to my knuckles. So what I'm going to do is take my thumb and pointer again, and I'm going to pinch it right here, put it over my knuckles, okay? I don't want it too far down on my knuckles or too far over. I want it right here, okay? Slightly over. I'm going to secure the top, spread my fingers apart, secure the bottom. Now I got a big pad here, okay? What I'm going to do now is do just what I did before. Around the wrist twice, around the thumb, right there, ball my fist, open. My fingers are still nice and spread apart. Now from here, I am going to go through all of the knuckles because I actually got a pad to keep in place. Okay, I go out, pinky, L, out, pointer, L, out. Okay, now from here, I'm going to make my final X and finish around my wrist. Well, I actually did too much around the wrist, my fault. One more, half X, now go down. Haha, there we go. Boom. Now I got a pad to my knuckle. So all you do is just make a pre-pad, make sure you tuck that in, and now you actually wrap it around. And now there's a lot there, not a whole lot on the palm, okay? Most gloves have a grip bar, and you don't really need that extra grip because when you punch, you should be having it not too tight, but a fairly tight squeeze anyway, and the grip bar sometimes gets in the way and opens your hand like this, and it's not fun, okay? So I recommend this over the first method. But if you want added protection, you can get what's called a knuckle guard, which I have a few here, okay? So what people will do is they'll get this knuckle guard, and what they're going to do is they can get this winning knuckle guard, which most people use, which is just basically gel padding wrapped in cotton or some kind of elastic cotton here. Or some people will take old hand wraps or a cloth material like bed sheets or something and wrap them around their knuckles, put some athletic tape around it, and then lay it down flat. Or what I recommend for $3 for a pack, get a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Why would I get a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser? Well, I'll show you. It's the best knuckle pad you can get, okay? All you're gonna do, start off like you did with the first way. Hands open, ball my fist here, ball my fist there, right around the wrist twice, around my thumb, just like we did the first time. Go around, make an X, pinky, X marks the spot over, there's the X right there. Then I go make my half X and go around my knuckles once, okay? This is so the pad doesn't skid around. Now what I'm gonna do, boom, just like this. Okay, now see how it's over, and you can cut this any which way because it's really easy to cut and shape. My hands are big enough for it, so I'm going to put that there, go through my middle finger, okay, go out the side, go through my pinky finger, out the side, go through my pointer finger, out the side. Okay, now everyone's probably thinking, yeah, but the pad's exposed. I make an X and go around Boom. Go around the top of my knuckles. Go around the bottom. Finish around the wrist. Now we're talking. Now I got a big pad. And this is how I wrap my hands a lot, actually. I just literally use a Mr. Clean sponge whenever I don't have my knuckle guards or something. And sometimes I just like how this feels better. It recoils off. It's really keeping my knuckles nice and padded. Like, I'm not feeling much here. So if you have brittle hands, you definitely might want to wrap your hands this way. Okay, knuckle guards are very important. And you can see it's nice and big and it's a fat pad, right? So literally $3, you can get a 3-pack of the Mr. Clean Magic Erasers. Now I'm bald, so I get a discount. I'm joking, but but the Mr. Clean Magic Erasers work perfect when it comes to wrapping your hands because they're about an inch or two thick of just this nice Durafoam, which is an open cell polyurethane high density type of foam. Okay, and it's not going to rip apart too easy, but I recommend you replace them probably until they start to turn yellow from your sweat is probably when you should replace them. But there is another way you can wrap your hands without a knuckle guard with something else, and some people will call it the mock fight wrap. My buddy Pete told me I should do this, and he would have been upset if I didn't, so I'm going to do it so he doesn't beat me up, okay? So I have here this Everlast Quick Gel Wrap. He uses Meister, but this one will work fine. I literally went quarantine shopping the other day. That's what I call it. I just went to Walmart for grocery shopping, and I saw this. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know they sold these in Walmart. So $10 at Walmart, the Quick Gel Wrap, and I put it on. Okay, and I go around my wrist. Boom. You can see it kind of has some good padding there. Not a whole lot, but enough. And there's nothing on the thumb, which isn't bad. But you can get other type of quick gel wraps. And all you're going to do is do basically the same thing, but we want a fight replicate feel. Okay? So they say this is your gauze, all right? So this is your gauze pad. This is your gauze around the wrist. There should be gauze around your thumb, but that's optional. All you're going to do is go around. Say this is your tape. You're going to go around once, twice, go down farther 3 times. 4 times around your wrist with this. Now you got big stability around your wrist. You're going to go around to your thumb, like so. Bam. You're going to go here, make your X, just like you did before. X marks the spot, over, and then you're going to go around your knuckles once, twice, 3 times, and then you're going to lace through your fingers again. Because it's a slick surface, will fall off. So you go here, through, the middle, pinky, and now there. Now I finish up with that last X around my wrist. Now I got the mock fight wrap on. Okay, so it's big, just like a fight wrap would be. It's farther down on my wrist, so I got more support there. And because I got this, it's even more locked in place. And it feels really good. It doesn't feel bulky. It doesn't feel too heavy or anything. And it fits inside the glove just fine. So you're not going to have any issues when it comes to wrapping your hands with this. So Pete, good recommendation. I'm happy I did that. So if you want that and you have a pair of quick wraps and you got a pair of hand wraps, then go for it. Give that a shot. That's something that I would recommend to people. I like the knuckle guards more just because it's more convenient for me, and that's just how I like doing it, but 4 different ways. So that's 4 different ways. Let me unzoom this here. No, not zoom in. Okay, cool. And that's 4 different ways that you can wrap your hands. Now, the big issue most people will come across, how do I roll these hand wraps? Should I get one of those fancy cranks? No. All you have to do, take 2 fingers like this and just go around. 1, and that's all you're going to do. Really, really easy. You just go around the 2 fingers. Why 2 fingers? Because you're going to have enough space on the inside that's going to breathe out. Okay? Boom. Take it off. Perfectly rolled just like it was before. Okay? So folks, that was 4 ways to wrap your hands. I'll put timestamps below, of course, so you can skip around and see which one works best for you. But it's very important to watch the whole thing because it's really important to know why you should wrap your hands, okay? So everybody, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next episode.